She understands the EU and how delicate diplomacy works. She's everything Josep Borrell was not. There's a wave of fresh energy around the EU quarter of Brussels. The 77-year-old Spanish socialist Josep Borrell has left the building. That is the European External Action Service. That's the EU's diplomatic service that came about 15 years ago. Now, an energetic, ambitious young woman has replaced him. Kaja Kallas, the former Prime Minister of Estonia, is now the so-called High Representative. So it's a bit like the EU's Foreign Affairs Minister. For the first time, this job, which involves travelling the globe as the face of the EU on the world stage, goes to such a high-level profile, a known face who's held the office of Prime Minister. Kaja Kallas can work a room, front a crisis, speak to the press. She's a former MEP, the daughter of a former commissioner. She's well connected. She understands the EU and how delicate diplomacy works. She's everything Josep Borrell was not. Now, she's not hugely popular back home, but she is one of the main stars of the European liberal political family. But as High Representative and Vice President of the European Commission, she is a star who will never shine. The thing is, foreign policy is and will remain the business of national governments. Apart from publishing press releases and statements expressing concern, Brussels has no say here. Kaja Kallas will be under the sway of 27 national governments who rarely can agree on anything. And as more and more capitals put their country's interests first, and autocracies and dictators tend to do what they like anyway, her condemnation statements will fall on deaf ears. Meanwhile, capitals have criticised her for being too focused on Ukraine. They worry she has little know-how across Africa and the global south, where the image of the EU is dwindling. Now, at 47, Kaja Kallas has a long career ahead of her. She will not want to muck up here in Brussels. But her job is a bit of a poisonous chalice. Look at Josep Borrell's term in office, what he managed to do. Or rather, who he managed to annoy. Remember back in February 2021, he thought it was a great idea to visit Moscow to smooth out relations with the Kremlin. But he ended up being humiliated by the Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov. Josep Borrell was heavily criticised by European ambassadors then, and he was never forgiven for this blunder. Some MEPs even wanted him to resign for having such a negative impact on the credibility of the European Union. He also once called Europe a garden, where everything works, and the rest of the world a jungle that could invade the garden. Now, he did apologise for this statement, said he didn't mean to offend, but it highlighted his lack of authority, his lack of clout. There's a cacophony of reactions and statements from Paris to Dublin, Madrid to Brussels, various different tones and flavours, all with conflicting nuances and subtleties. So what is the point of having a High Representative? The EU will never speak with one voice. So although Kaja Kallas brings some excitement and fresh dynamism, and she'll probably be an inspiring boss to thousands of EU staffers, her stint in Brussels may never have any impact.